You know, when you walk through a forest, what do you really see? I mean, yeah, towering trees, a canopy of leaves, maybe a few mushrooms here and there. But what if I told you that's only like half the story? That right under your feet, there's this entire hidden world of communication, of cooperation, of intelligence.
What if it acts less like a bunch of individuals and more like a single, giant, unified organism? That's the huge question we're diving into today. And honestly, the answer might just change how you see the world forever.
For the longest time, we saw forests as this brutal, competitive place. A constant, lonely fight for sunlight and water. Survival of the fittest playing out in super slow motion. But science is finally catching up to a much more complex, much more collaborative reality. One that it turns out has been understood for thousands of years by other cultures.
To really appreciate just how radical this new idea is, we first have to take a look at the old model it's replacing.
This was the textbook definition, right? The forest as an arena where every tree was out for itself. And that idea, it shaped everything, from how we manage forests to our most basic understanding of nature. But then came Suzanne Simard. She grew up in the forests of British Columbia, and she just had this gut feeling that things were way more connected. When she first proposed that trees might actually be sharing things, sending information, the scientific community was, let's just say, not impressed. They basically dismissed her idea as crazy talk, something more like mysticism than actual science.
So, to prove her hypothesis, she had to look where nobody else was really looking. Not up at the canopy, but down, deep into the soil.
And the key to this whole hidden world is a relationship called mycorrhiza. It's this beautiful biological deal. The tree makes sugar through photosynthesis and trades that carbon to the fungus. And in return, the fungus, which has this massive sprawling network, acts like a super efficient delivery service, gathering up water and nutrients for the tree.
These fungal threads, called a mycelium, form this unbelievably dense web. I mean, get this, under a single footstep in a healthy forest, there can be hundreds of kilometers of these threads. And this isn't just a bunch of one-on-one deals. It's a physical network linking the roots of different trees, even different species, into one single massive grid, the Internet of the Forest.
So how in the world did she prove something so radical? Well, with a brilliantly simple experiment. She took a little tree, put a plastic bag over it, and pumped in some radioactive carbon gas. The tree absorbed it. Okay. Then came the moment of truth. She took her Geiger counter to a different tree nearby, a tree that was never exposed to the gas.
And then, click, 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 the Geiger counter went off. The radioactive carbon had traveled from the first tree through that hidden mycelial network and into the second one. It was undeniable. It was the proof. The trees were connected, they were sharing.
And her research didn't just stop there. It didn't just prove they were connected. It actually started to reveal the structure of this network. And it turns out, not all trees are created equal.
Simard identified what she calls hub trees, or much more affectionately, mother trees. These are the biggest, oldest trees in the forest. They're the crucial nodes, the grand central stations at the center of this web. And just like the name says, they play this profound, nurturing role. The scope of what they do is just astonishing. A single mother tree can be connected to hundreds of other trees. They'll send their extra carbon down to seedlings struggling in the shade. If they get attacked by an insect, they send out chemical warning signals through the network so their neighbors can prep their defenses. They even reduce their own root competition to make space for their own kin to grow. And the impact is just staggering. Simard's research found that young seedlings connected to these mother trees had a survival rate 4 times higher than seedlings that were isolated. So this isn't just some quaint idea, it is a fundamental pillar of how a forest stays healthy and resilient. So, what this all revealed is that a forest isn't just a collection of random, competing individuals. No, it's a community. It has memory, it has families, with the older generations actively supporting the next.
Now here's what's so incredible. While this discovery is revolutionary for Western science, the core idea, this idea that all life is connected and it all communicates, has been a foundational truth for indigenous cultures for thousands and thousands of years.
This quote from an indigenous elder just speaks volumes, doesn't it? Long before Geiger counters and carbon isotopes, there was this deep understanding that trees communicate, that they're relatives, and that they support one another. It's a worldview built on deep observation and relationship.
This understanding is all wrapped up in a concept called kincentricity. It's the idea that we aren't separate from nature, but that we're part of an extended family. The trees, the animals, the rivers, they're our relatives. And that relationship comes with this sacred responsibility to care for them, just as they care for us.
And this difference in worldview has huge practical implications. In conventional forestry, a big old tree is often seen as unproductive, past its prime and should be harvested. But through an indigenous lens, that exact same tree is an ancestor. It's a library of wisdom. It's the vital heart of the entire forest community. It's a mother tree.
So when you bring these two ways of knowing together, cutting-edge science and ancient wisdom, you get a much richer, a much more complete picture of how the world actually works.
Both perspectives point to the same fundamental truth. Everything is connected in this vast web of life. The health of the soil, the fungi, the trees, the insects, the animals, and people, these are not separate issues. They are all part of one single interdependent system.
This interconnectedness is what makes a forest so strong and resilient. But it's also a point of huge vulnerability. Practices like clear-cutting don't just remove individual trees, they sever this entire underground network. They destroy the communication lines and support systems that took centuries to build. And that can cause the whole system to collapse.
And all this leaves us with a final, really crucial question. If a forest is not just a resource to be managed, but a complex, intelligent community of relatives, what does that ask of us? What is our role and our responsibility within that web of life?
We have built our world on a high-stakes assumption that our industrial momentum is as unsinkable as the steel hulls we once set into the Atlantic. But the elephant in the room has grown too large to ignore, moving out of our private shadows and into the center of our lives. This is the meta-crisis, the tipping point where the stories of endless growth collide with the physical limits of our planet. The Lifeboat Mini Course is your immediate, structured transition, a free 5-day journey delivered to your inbox to transform global anxiety into local resilience. Day 1 begins with an audit of the invisible, the energy and water systems you rely on every hour, yet rarely ever see. Day 2 forces a change in your geographical lens, challenging you to locate your true home within your watershed and local bioregion. You won't navigate this terrain alone. You will receive daily study guides and synthesized patterns designed to cut through the noise and reveal the architecture of change. Day 3 asks you to practice active hope in a world facing ecological overshoot. Day 4 introduces the demanding standard of revolutionary love. By tracing the water back to your neighbor's tap, you move beyond the narrow walls of self-help and into the expansive, interconnected practice of systems health. The climax arrives on Day 5 with the introduction of a specific framework for your future, the 9x21 harvest. Who is your mutual guiding spirit in this transition, and which 9 things will you choose to do? Stop waiting for the headlines to crush you. Sign up for the Lifeboat Mini Course now. Access your Day 1 materials immediately and join the community hub where the next story of our world is already being written.
You can remain tied to the illusion of a collapsing global credit card, or take this course to begin building real systems health today. The Earth is tired of the lie. It is time to dance with the truth.